Get started and I'll keep letting people in as they arrive. Is that okay?
That sounds great.
Okay, welcome to Teachers Teaching Teachers. It is September 24th, 2020, and Joe Dillion and a few of his friends who have been working on Minecraft are joining us. You'll learn more here in a second. Why don't we quickly go around and do introductions, and let's start with the youngest person here. Ms. Hernandez-Spear, would you introduce your children, please?
Okay, this is Marina, and this is Nicholas. I brought them because they know more about Minecraft than I do.
Okay.
We play it more than you, because you have never played Minecraft before in your life.
Okay, and I teach English in the Bronx with Paul.
So she may know more about English. Anyway, which this is about also. Fair enough, Joe? I think. All right. Christina, go ahead. Why don't you go? Yeah, I'll just point to you. Christina, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Christina Cantrill from the National Writing Project, and I love learning Minecraft from expert Minecrafters. So thanks for being here.
Rich.
Yeah, I'm Rich Novak. I'm an English teacher in Connecticut, and my 8-year-old got me involved in Minecraft as a father-daughter fun thing to do. And now Christina and others, Joe, and have been kind of teasing me with it. And now I see the possibilities in my classroom, so I'm really excited to learn right now.
Very cool. Nikki.
Hi, Nikki Fain, Lehman College. I'm just fascinated that Minecraft has any sort of pedagogical implications. So I'm here to figure it out.
Very cool. Anna, nice to see you.
Hi, sorry, I'm eating a sandwich.
Totally appropriate.
I've been in a lot of Zoom meetings today, so I might be a little, I'm more just here to observe and listen. I teach high school in Berkeley, California.
Very cool. And Joe Dillion, do you want to introduce yourself and then introduce the others who are with us? And Marina is here. Great.
Absolutely. So I'm Joe Dillion. I'm with the Denver Writing Project, and I teach high school at Gateway High School in Aurora, Colorado. And I've been a big Minecraft fan for a number of years, and I've also had the pleasure of working with teachers who wanted to use Minecraft in their classrooms. And I did that a number of years back, and then it was really my pleasure this last year to work with the National Writing Project and then Minecraft in Education, or the Minecraft Education Edition, in developing 10 English language arts lessons. And so some of the folks here, just a handful of the folks here, are here by my invitation, and those are people who helped and aided in the project in some way. So and I'm happy to introduce them and just to briefly say like why I invited them. And I really appreciate you all turning up. The folks who I've invited, I'm happy to see everyone though. So Matthew Farber, I invited because he's done a ton of work in the games and learning space, and he's at the University of Northern Colorado. And he's somebody whose brain I just wanted to pick as we were getting involved in the project. And then David Barel, am I pronouncing your last name right, David? I'm afraid I'm good. So David is a doctoral student at Northwestern, and he had already been doing some studies of Microsoft's work with Minecraft. And he's really knowledgeable about all the user created content that's landing on Minecraft Education Edition's spaces, right? So all the things that Minecraft teachers are producing that Microsoft and Minecraft Education Edition are sifting through. And then Marina is pretty representative, but she's of course unique. As a teacher who I recruited because I wanted to have like the perspectives of folks who teach those earlier grades, because we were recruited or we were asked to produce lessons for grades 3 through 8. And so Marina teaches, I think 2nd grade, is that right, Marina? 3rd grade in New York. And so
Marina, go ahead and unmute.
Yeah.
All right.
Others too. Yeah, come on. We love it.
I always forget when I do that. 3rd grade.
I love it.
So there's 2 Marinas here.
Who's the,
Hi,
oh, that's
Marina.
true. Yes.
This is
indeed.
Marina.
There's another Marina. Oh,
Yes.
hi, Marina.
Hi.
Very cool.
So just to wrap that thought up is Marina's representative of kind of the teachers I was trying to lean on for lesson ideas, and really just kind of like pick their brains about what would they like to do with kids in Minecraft, and then ideas and sometimes some rough sketches of worlds. So those are the folks I invited along, and I'd love to just give them an opportunity to sort of say a few words about like their ideas about Minecraft, etc.
Right before you do, I just want to get the other two people.
Future educator, like how I could use this in my own classroom.
Very cool. And in the chat is, she described herself as the regular happy lurker and fangirl from Phoenix, Arizona. Peggy George is here too. So feel free to say hello to Peggy. Okay, back to you, Joe. Sorry.
Yeah, and so I don't know exactly where you want to start these conversations because this is my millionth time on Teachers Teaching Teachers, and I love the informal nature of it. And I think that the folks who've joined us here all have like a different perspective on the project. And then Christina and I probably are the ones who saw it from beginning to end and probably could speak to it in its entirety. But I think that I'm certainly.
I have an idea. Sorry. What about do the young people here have any questions? What do you think teachers think about Minecraft? What's your question?
It's actually kind of interesting that a lot of you.
Have you ever made a lesson plan? That might not have been for you.
Well, you're the one who unmuted.
Sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. What's the difference between playing and making a lesson plan?
Nico, yes. What's the difference between playing and making a lesson plan?
You don't know. One is funner than the other. I don't know what lesson plan.
Joe had to figure this out. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, what I think is, first of all, I think that lesson planning with Minecraft is really sort of an odd topic, right? And different people have different opinions about it. Most teachers who've expressed interest in getting their students involved in it usually are drawn to it, not because they're big players of the game Minecraft. It's because they're intrigued by the enormous student interest in the game, right? And so making a lesson plan, I think it's kind of a delicate balance. Like, how do you bring it into the classroom in such a way that you don't spoil it, right? You don't schoolify it to the point where it's no fun. But I think most people, whether it's somebody who plays or even a teacher who hears kids talk about Minecraft, probably acknowledges that it has some potential benefit in schools. So those are the kinds of things that Matthew and David probably could speak at length about. And then Marina, I think, has a unique perspective because Marina is somebody who was trying Minecraft in the classroom last year and then got to work with us on the project and might be looking forward to using it in new and different ways.
Yes, jump in. Don't let us keep interrupting you.
Anna Main asked a question to the under 18 celebrity guests. Do a lot of your friends play Minecraft? That was one of the questions.
Do a lot of your friends play Minecraft?
Yep.
Yes.
Do you ever think about Minecraft and storytelling and writing?
They've already actually done another game that's story. It's called Minecraft Story Mode. But storytelling and writing in Minecraft sounds actually pretty cool because, like you can, with the game, one of their mottos is infinite wonders, endless possibilities, and that includes everything. So I think that it would be pretty cool if you could storytell with that, And also putting it in schools also makes me feel happier because you guys are trying to make it fun while staying on topic with the topic. So I like that.
Awesome.
I'm not
Good. No,
That's
Cool.
great.
Thank you. Yeah. Matthew, what are you thinking?
Which Matthew?
You. Sorry.
Oh,
I'll call the other Matthew Matt.
sure.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yeah, so about Minecraft in general, or
Sure.
the lessons. Well,
I'm
first,
just trying to get you in here. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me, and second, I hope we're not all still introducing ourselves in age order.
Hilarious. Yes.
I also am going to be writing about these lessons for Edutopia in the next week or two, so just a heads up. Just kind of to amplify it out. So yeah, I mean, I have a son who's going to be 10 in a few weeks, and he asked for Animal Crossing for his birthday, which I want to play also. But anyway, he's been playing Minecraft still, like since he was probably 4 or so, or 5 maybe. So it's an interesting game because it does grow with you in a way. Like, you know, in the tablet version, you know, you can do less, I guess, you know, and now he's at the age where he's doing more, such as like redstone blocks and command blocks. So kind of like has this built-in, like, you know, level of getting more complex as you want, going back and forth with the ecosystem that's around the game, particularly like YouTubers that, you know, he watches, that builds things and inspires him to build things. I know as soon as we went in lockdown in the spring, he built Disneyland in Minecraft with the map and made it functional. So like you can go on Space Mountain and it works, you know, it's mapped after that. Or he made DCA, made the Incredicoaster, and it works with redstone, and it looks like it, but it actually works. So, I mean, those are some clear connections to things like STEM learning, but I think it's also even more so that you're telling a story once you're in those spaces, in those digital spaces. And yeah, I think it's great. It's an excellent teaching tool. But one thing I always like to say is that we shouldn't use games in the classroom because they're popular with kids. Because a colleague of mine said to me recently, he's at Facing History and Ourselves, that kids like ice cream, but we don't give them ice cream for dinner, you know, just because they like it, right? So it's important because I feel like games, it's not just my opinion, but games are the storytelling medium of the 21st century. So we can't exclude it. It's like, you know, at one point, graphic novels weren't considered part of like the lexicon of what schools use, or comics, or, you know, murder mystery novels in the 1950s, right? So it's a part of our shared storytelling experience, and that's why we should teach with games.
Cool.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
No, it's nice listening to you.
Joe, I was wondering if you and Marina want to talk about your collaboration, because just to describe how the story is there.
Yeah, I personally,
Okay, Paul?
first of all, yeah, I think,
Great.
does that sound good to you, Paul? I mean, Marina was introduced to me by Paul, right? And then as somebody who was potentially interested. And then Marina, do you want to talk about your experience? Because I think, you know, it's been a while since we've talked, but I also know I'm curious to see what's going on in your classroom these days.
Yeah, so yeah, I guess it was like in maybe May, Paul, you reached out to me with an email forwarded over from Joe telling me all about this like really amazing project.
No, we found each other in Minecraft, remember? No, sorry, no, it was email. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And it just like, it like got me at like the right time. And I reached out to Joe to hear more about it. You know, I've been interested in Minecraft for a really long time because my students have been interested in it. I recently moved from a middle school grade into an elementary grade. And when I was in the middle school, my team and I, we had our students, you know, like designing a civilization, we had them doing designing lessons. And they wanted to do it in Minecraft, and we let them. But my co-teacher and I, we really didn't know anything about Minecraft at all. We really kind of watched the kids and learned from them. So I saw this as a really great time for me to dig into Minecraft from the other side, and to look at it from, you know, a lesson planning lens, just rather than to kind of like letting the kids do your thing, so that I could build like my own beginnings. And I'm truly am like a beginner, because I know that was like one of the first things I said to you, Joe. I was like, I don't know anything about what to do in Minecraft, so I don't know if I'm like the right person for this. But I think once we talked and hearing more about the thinking behind all of it, I really had a lot of fun with this. I learned a lot from just from looking at examples and Joe, connecting with Joe and having conversations. And I'm really excited. I'm really like thinking like.
We lost her. She'll be
We
back.
momentarily lost Marina. I mean, it's terrible, but I can probably jump in. What was interesting about the process was, she's somebody who had tried the software in her classroom, and then but was really like uncomfortable being in the game herself, right? And so when the students were playing, it was just the kind of thing where it was, I mean, certainly she'd seen like seeds of success, but also still felt a little bit wary about being in the game space. So Marina, I was just jumping in to say that
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that.
As you dabbled in the game, you'd also kind of like express some misgivings about being in the game yourself. And so what we did was, because we were, contracted to build these lessons and kind of had this design challenge with us, right, in front of us, we talked about just like what was a strong workshop lesson that had worked well in her classroom for getting Minecraft. And then Marina landed on something that had worked well in Poetry Month. And so,
and what was that? Which is your lesson?
Well, I had started to do a lot of work with my students during distance learning. It was April when we started from my school, and I really wanted to, I always like to do poetry work with them at that time, but then I really wanted to keep them engaged, and they were really enjoying reading poetry and writing poetry as I was like kind of dropping out little tips and little lessons for them. So when Joe and I were consulting about directions to go in, I shared with him that I had been doing all this poetry work and I really was enjoying it with the kids. And I was interested in exploring the idea of using poetry to create the Minecraft experience. And the world that I contributed to was the 6-room maze. Is that what it's called? Did it end up being titled?
Poem maze, yeah.
The poem maze, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really modeled off of a technique from Georgia Hurd. So the idea is that the student would go through the maze, and as they're going through the maze, they're going to come across a couple of different rooms, and each of those rooms offers different aspects to help them either generate a poem or revise a poem using different techniques such as sound effects and description.
So how possible would it be for us to see some of this? I don't want to distract the conversation for anybody who's involved.
I think Christina is literally in Minecraft.
Oh,
Yeah.
Christina, can you show it to us or not?
Yeah, let me see if I can. I need to, I can share screen.
You can share
Okay.
screen. I just opened it. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So here is the link in Minecraft Education. And what I think is lovely about this is that you can actually sort of start to get like a bird's eye view of the maze. Joe, do you want to talk about how the maze was actually built?
Sure. Yeah. So basically what happened was Marina came up with the idea of taking this successful lesson for getting her students to experiment with poetic writing, right? Something that had worked well in distance learning. And then she just kind of thought that wouldn't it be cool if she turned this workshop lesson into a maze where they're discovering the different sort of stations or the different like 6 concepts they're supposed to, the figurative 6 rooms from Georgia Hurd's technique became 6 Minecraft rooms that we put in a maze. And that was Marina's idea. And she drew the maze on paper. And then we handed that off to a teenage builder, somebody who was somebody I knew from the Denver Writing Project's Young Writers Camp. And so basically that young person saw Marina's sketch of the maze and took up Marina's idea and then just did built the maze that you see there in the picture. And so one of the things that's probably noteworthy is, number one, it's something that Marina was feeling successful about in her classroom, and now it's sort of iterated in Minecraft. So nobody really knows how this iteration will turn out, but it's certainly a playful attempt to build on a classroom success. And then most every time, like, we would kind of take the ideas from the teachers, and then sometimes I was building, sometimes I recruited like a single builder, like an educator friend of mine who was also a builder. And a lot of times we recruited some youth to help us build. But each of these rooms, or each of these, I guess, lessons, invite students to write, and then when they're done, also to build. And so the idea that they're all looking at composition two different ways.
Does the writing end up in that room?
No, the writing, like the different prompts are found around the maze.
Yeah.
And if memory
You guys
serves,
can see this, right?
We can, yes.
Yeah, we can see
Great.
it. So let's see, it says, as you travel through the maze, you'll discover 6 rooms and meet friends. Each room is unique and will offer you some practice with ways to make your writing descriptive. You'll want to have an object or an image in mind. If you need inspiration, take a picture inside the maze if you like. Then begin searching for the 6 rooms.
And I just grabbed the camera, so that goes into my toolbox.
Yeah, and so what we landed on, and this is—
Should I go to the first room?
Sure, please. Once we'd kind of taken the idea from Marina, what we landed on is the idea that they're encountering these prompts, and then there's a Google Doc that they're linked to in the game. And so they kind of have this checklist, like, have you seen all the rooms? And then as you follow along in the checklist, you're also doing your poetic writing in the doc or on a piece of paper.
The chalkboard and the camera, those are blocks unique to Minecraft Education Edition, right?
Yeah, and that's probably another thing that's an important point that's kind of cool about Minecraft Education Edition is you see like that little robot there, and it says, look here. The interesting feature there is it's a non-player character, right? And so kids who are used to playing Minecraft, the traditional game, they can't put characters in the game, and the characters are programmable a little bit, right? So you can both create a hyperlink with the characters, but you can also have the characters say things to players, and you can also give the non-player characters commands to execute. So there's actually ways to do a little bit of command line coding in the characters. And so the storytelling possibilities are pretty deep with these non-player characters, but here they're really helping us, navigate through the maze. They help us teleport from room to room. And they're also probably like reminding kids not to forget to, write their darn poems.
Yeah, I think I forgot to pick up my book, but anyway, but this is the next room that I can go to too. And so the Georgia Herd poem does have it, like lighting is one of the prompts and one of the 6 prompts, right?
Right. And Marina, have you seen the inside of this thing yet?
No, I mean, I saw a bit of it. I think it was definitely a few months ago, Christina, we were on a TTT together. It wasn't about the Minecraft, but we kind of started going in that direction. You showed some of the initial work. So I'm seeing more of it now. It looks great.
Well, when you don't teleport from room to room, you can actually walk down. Joe, I might get lost if I do this though, so I don't know if there's something else.
Can I join you there? Can I jump in there right now with my phone? Is that possible? Like, see, this is what I don't know.
It is.
It's
right?
mostly
Like,
possible.
It's
but not
what?
with your phone though. Not
Mostly
with the phone.
possible.
Not on my phone.
Yeah, so
I could start
iPad,
hosting, right?
Chromebook.
yeah, well, yep, you sure could.
You got to be on a computer, a laptop.
Computer, iPad, Chromebook.
Computer, iPad, and recently they've added Chromebooks to the mix.
Cool.
So in
David-
theory, any young person with Minecraft Education Edition right now, because Christina's making public this join code, probably very low risk to this, But the idea that like
Oh,
anybody can
oh, okay. Steph Osteen, sorry,
and
thanks.
I don't think it's a problem because it's, you know, you're in real control of who's in this world, but it's that easy to invite someone into the world you're playing. And so,
sorry.
Yeah, and so
go, if you have a thought, keep going. I want to get David in here though, and think about some of the research you're doing, and just even if it takes us in a slightly different direction. I want to get your voice in here. You got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to be here, so you should talk.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Sure. So what I basically, so just to kind of give a bit of a
Christina
background.
can keep playing while he's doing that.
Sure.
Good.
It's cool background. So for me, what's exciting about Minecraft is I kind of reflect on my education. I remember as a student growing up in Israel, the computer room was the most underutilized space in our school. Like you'd go there once in a while, you'd play a demo of this game or that game, and maybe there would be one teacher who tried to teach us something, some sort of coding. I think it was like Q Basic or something. And then I see what's offered right now for kids around the world, and Minecraft specifically is this rich, you know, all these different games, and Minecraft especially is a game that so many kids love and allows us to be immersed in a 3D world and do all kinds of cool things. Whether it's writing as we're seeing today, or if it's science, or if it's kind of amazing recreations of historical sites and civilizations. So my work specifically is I look at these lesson plans just as we went through, you know, this one, and I'm looking at hundreds of those and trying to see the different patterns, different ways in which teachers design with the game. My ultimate goal is to be able to basically describe in a rich way the sort of techniques or strategies that people apply when they're trying to teach different subjects with Minecraft, and ultimately designing professional development that can really teach teachers to new people who aren't using it yet how to use it. So that's kind of a brief description of it.
Cool.
So I basically I stand on the shoulder of giants. I look at really, really amazing teachers who design pretty intense lessons sometimes, and I'm finding amazing stuff. So if you have any other questions about like what I'm seeing, how it relates to this lesson, I'd be happy to keep going.
Yeah, and I think, David, one of the things you helped me with was, you know, because I was trying to help teachers think about lesson planning implications for English language arts lessons, I tried to very quickly take a cursory glance at some of the stuff that Minecraft Education Edition had in their sort of lesson repository, right? And so I kind of drew some initial conclusions. But then the idea that, like, as I started to talk to David about what I was seeing, he was like, oh, you've only scratched the surface, or at least that's how I took it. And then David, you shared kind of some funny stories about like the varieties of ways teachers try to put Minecraft into their lessons. Like sometimes, you know, putting multiple choice questions in, et cetera. Maybe you could talk about some of the wide range of things you've seen from teachers.
Sure. So it is very, very wide range. So the way that I'm looking at the data and the way that I'm making sense of all these lessons is I'm basically creating what I call dimension codes. So dimensions are kind of like, we can actually think of it the way I present it when I give presentations, and actually thinking about it in the way of the Minecraft crafting table. So you can think of like teachers as coming towards some sort of lesson planning crafting table, and certain different dimensions, different materials, which yield different types of lessons. So these can be, for instance, you know, are the teachers even building a world? Because most of the teachers do build a world, as we're seeing here, because this is really part of the power of Minecraft. But many teachers actually just provide prompts, and the kids are the ones who are building the entire world as they're going through the lesson. This can be, you know, get into groups of 2 to 3 and, you know, research some statues in your neighborhood and recreate those, all the way up to a teacher giving kind of a very typical frontal type lecture, and the entire classroom creating a world to depict what's going on there. So there's a teacher from Portugal that I've been looking at, and she teaches a lot about kind of Portuguese history and the Iberian Peninsula. And she basically provides, you know, very typical kind of lectures about the history, about the culture, about the military history. And the kids are the ones building the world in Minecraft in real time as they're going through these lectures. Then we have more kind of puzzle-like lessons where it's kind of I call it kind of walking along stations. You have 3 to 5 stations where you just individually or in pairs talk to an NPC. The NPC says, hey, take 5 pictures of these different animals and write something about them, or do a tour of like the human cell as represented in Minecraft and explain how it's different or similar to a real human cell. What else do we have? So we have, I also look at stuff like, are the teachers asking the kids to work outside of the game, or is everything happening in the game? So like here, for instance, this idea of writing on a Google Doc is interesting because like you could imagine the scenario just being you're just in the game, you're doing something, you're building something, you're exploring some space. But there's a lot of interesting use of Google Docs, images, YouTube videos. What else did I see? Even like worksheets, which I think is actually very interesting and counterintuitive. Like to me, when I thought people would design for Minecraft, it would be just entirely contained in the game. And some of the most interesting lessons that I've seen really ask kids to compare the virtual and the real world in real time. So for instance, one is kind of a field trip within the Minecraft biomes. So I don't know if you, for people who don't know a lot about Minecraft, Minecraft has these different biomes that contain different blocks, different, you could say, natural resources, different animals, different vegetation. And so this lesson has kids go into different biomes and really write down, how does this biome relate to real world biomes? How can we really think about vegetation, animals, materials we would find in the real world versus the Minecraft world? Which is also another code that I wrote, which is, do the lessons explicitly ask you to make this comparison, this mental comparison between virtual nature or virtual world and real world, which doesn't happen that often, but I think when it does happen, that's a very powerful kind of hook for people to be able to make those comparisons.
No, it's a very useful scheme you've got there. Have you published yet around this, or?
So I just recently published a short paper, a work in progress, in the Foundations of Digital Games conference. So it just recently came out, and where I'm working right now on a full paper where I moved from 7 codes to 9 codes. There might be a little more actually hidden there, but what I'm doing now is really going over a group of sort of the super users or the power users. So it's like 16 teachers who uploaded most of the content on the Minecraft website. And I'm kind of refining my codes and doing some frequency counts to really be able to see some patterns of how many of these different lessons are using these different codes. So yeah, that should be coming out, I'm guessing, in like
cool
3 months, 4 months.
So let's keep this open. Let's questions, thoughts. We can, and let's start with the youngest again here. Let's go back to you. Do you have a question you'd like to ask the teachers and researchers here?
Or they found us on the live stream. There we are. We're all on TV.
Okay.
And I don't really have any questions, but this is pretty interesting.
Why?
I was wondering if I could do it with her. Oh, why? Because like it looks really fun, and I keep on saying this, but it looks really fun, and it's a good way. Like the thing Marina made, when she sketched it out on paper and she showed it to somebody, and somebody became it in Minecraft for like somebody to know how poems and stuff work. That's
cool. Others, jump in. Thanks.
I'd just like to ask the younger folk, like, what's a cool trick that I can make myself look good in front of my 8-year-old daughter knowing? Like, that's what I find when my 8-year-old tells me stuff, I learn so much cool stuff. So you got a bag of tricks for us, young folk? Like, what's a cool thing I can do in Minecraft?
emoji water bucket. Emoji boat, emoji handle.
Emoji water bucket.
Search it up on YouTube, you'll know. It's just a good way to get swag. It's MLG. MLG.
Good way to get swag.
It's when you get on like a big pillar or something and you jump down and you have a water bucket and you catch your fall with the water bucket. So you don't die. It's just that's what you asked.
Cool.
You know, this is what fascinates me about it. You know, this listening to my 8-year-old use words like biome, you know, and then you know, listen to these young people that are just so knowledgeable about this thing that is itself so dense is amazing. You know, I mean, it's a really interesting thing. It's inspiring to watch young people talk about Minecraft.
Can I interject a question?
Please. Yeah, please.
For either for any of the Minecraft users. As I watched my grandson sort of navigate this, I kept asking the question, how do you know this? Where did you learn this from? Could you, I mean, it was just moving along so quickly. I had no idea of what he was doing, to tell you the truth. It was just, you know, just sort of this overwhelming overstimulation that I was experiencing. But I kept saying, how do you know? And he said, well, my friend, you know, or I have a book, or so help me understand, how in the world do you learn this? It can't just be intuitive.
Almost. I mean, I'm sure you've heard the term digital native by now.
Yeah.
Can I answer this question?
Please.
So this game is when the official, like when you could beat the game, like it came out in 2009, but in 2011 there's a thing called the Ender Dragon which you have to beat, and that makes you complete the game, and that was released in 2011. So people would like learn tricks and how to get this faster, so you can do this, so you can go into this portal to get this. Like, let's say, oh, we don't have to get a diamond pickaxe to mine obsidian. We can just get the buckets and make obsidian with the lava and the water. So they started making that, and they started posting it on social medias, and then those guys made it into books, and then it became into a circle, and then everybody knows how to do it.
They also watch YouTube channels with people.
Social medias.
And I'm saying YouTube channels.
Yeah, we do watch YouTube channels, Nico.
So with experienced players who play so they've been sitting literally at the feet of people who know how to play and say, oh, well, when this happens, you could go over here. Oh, look at that. And so you're seeing what the player sees, and there's very charismatic young people. And when they were very young, they were watching other people play Minecraft, and then they would play. So they would learn from and then also do.
I didn't know that the game existed before I got it.
Okay.
So
Matthew, maybe that's
others,
a place. Matthew, I wonder if you could talk about, because I know when you and I spoke, you talked about like your son's, like his forays into Minecraft and what he does now that just still, you know, I think it influences how you think like it should be used in the classroom. Is how you watched your son learn. Maybe you could speak to that.
Sure. So I'll just touch on a brain dump. Yeah. So yes, social media, YouTube, and it's correct. There's this whole ecosystem around the game. It's not the game. It's never the game. Mm-hmm. And children aren't just naturally. It's not intuitive. Mm-hmm. It's not even all that friendly, especially when you enter in survival mode. Mm-hmm. But it is that entire ecosystem around it. So, you know, like my son watches, you know, like Stampy Cat. I don't know if he still watches him, but like all different types of YouTubers. Like popular MMOs is a very common one he watches. And then he reads their books. They have books by, I think, HarperCollins Kids. So it's just like great from beginning to end ecosystem of reading, playing. It's interesting he refers to YouTubers as his friends, or like, people have been saying this. And I'm like, what people? You've been locked in the house, basically, you know? He'll also play YouTube. Like he'll sit in a room and he'll pretend he's doing a YouTube channel. Like he's doing a talk. And I think that's a fascinating skill, because it's a skill of
wait, he's not actually doing it?
He's not actually recording. No, he's doing pretend play of being a YouTuber, sharing his world with his audience. and he's creating like, he's able to.
Good luck on capturing that, researchers, but go ahead.
I know. I ask everybody, like I've asked folks at Brain Pop and like really, I'd never heard that before.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right. But he's really great at like, explaining, like, and giving those details and that higher level vocabulary, right? 4-year-olds knowing what obsidian is, right? Or like little children knowing the Z-axis because they're dealing with 3 dimensions in space, X, Y, and Z. And then you get to school and it's so super boring when you're looking at graph paper, right? When they've already been experiencing such a high level of learning. Also, a few things about Minecraft compared to what we would call educational games. And I've been writing about this right now. I'm writing a book right now on social emotional learning in games. And educational games are either chocolate covered broccoli or they're balanced to death. So their chocolate covered broccoli is like Math Blaster or Prodigy Math, where like you're out there like in World of Warcraft and you cast a spell and you have to do a math problem. That's not balanced. Then you've got ones that are balanced, which is like, I don't know, like ST Math, Moby Max, and they're balanced, but they focus only on the learning goal. And if you do good on the learning goal, then your reward is a more complex learning goal. If you fail at the learning goal, we're going to call that growth mindset. And if you have 2 kids in a Chromebook, we'll call that teamwork, and we'll slap that with a low-level SEL, right? But commercial games like Minecraft are not made like that. They're made with the player experience essential. And when I speak to educators who say they're not familiar with
slow down.
games,
Say that again. The player experience.
the player's experience is the center, right? So when I talk to teachers and I talk to game designers about this too, they sound like Imagineers. They don't sound like they're making some like learning object. A game is best compared to Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, where you're on the Omni Mover and the Doom Buggy, and you're through this experience on a rail, and it's moving you around to the ghost host, and you're seeing these things. That's more like a really good game experience. Where what kids are subjected to in school are things they would never want to play on their own. Minecraft, they do want to play on their own because it embeds things like self-determination theory, where you have a sense of autonomy or agency. You have a sense of relatedness or belonging to a community. You have a sense of competence that no matter what age you are, you can figure this out. And if there's an adult in Minecraft with you, their avatar is the same size as you. And these are really important aspects that are lost in almost all educational games that focus solely on the learning goal. Books don't do that. We've moved past Dick and Jane books. If you go back to Dr. Seuss, when he was challenged to write a book, I forgot who challenged him, John Hersey maybe, in like the 1940s to write a book, because how come kids are reading Dick and Jane books when they could be reading books from these amazing new children's authors, right? And he had this constraint of this limited word list, and then he came out with like Green Eggs and Ham, right? But schools were still slow to adopt it. They still stuck with Dick and Jane for like decades more. But at home, parents were getting their kids for Christmas Cat in the Hat and all the other famous books now in the Dr. Seuss library, which taught kids how to read, right? Using the same word list. So I mean, there's always going to be the tension, I think. I think we're never going to get, I hate to sound like a fatalist, but it's almost like this tension between project-based learning and rote instruction. And there's that constant tension. But Minecraft shows its biggest promise. Yes.
So I'm just trying to bring back the 10 lessons that were set up and how that fits this. Thank you for that brain dump. That's your words. But so how do the 10 lessons fit into that larger attempt to think about the difference between school and gaming?
I think David has observed this as well. And I've presented at conferences like Connected Learning on the first couple of cohorts of the Minecraft educator community, teacher community. And yeah, I mean, there's this big spread of lessons. Some of them are like, here's a bunch of blocks and figure out area and perimeter. And then there are some lessons where like, you're in a fan fiction sequel to Romeo and Juliet and you're in Verona and like, tell the story. And I think these lessons are more on that end of it, where it's both inspiring creativity, and it's also constructionist as well. So it's getting kids to create, make, and share a personally meaningful artifact, which is what the game does in creative mode. So if we can harness that with lessons, I think that's a win. I don't know if I answered your question.
Fine, let's keep going.
I think one of the things that's also interesting about these lessons, because they were supposed to be lessons that were recognizable as curriculum, right? So I think that when you think about what Marina helped us design, right, is she was thinking about something that she would use in the classroom even if there was no Minecraft, like the 6-room poem. But the idea that it's situated inside Minecraft, number one, there is the opportunity that a student's going to learn how to write, poetically better because of the influence of Marina and the workshop of Georgia Hurd. But also, I think the kid is sort of like in on the game in the sense that it's situated in a place where they're super familiar. Like there's nothing in that lesson that says fly around the maze and explore it like from the outside. But I would venture to guess that 99% of the kids are going to like change the setting and fly around and check out what's been done and kind of like look under the hood. And I think that every one of these lessons, while you see the English language arts lesson, the kids are the real savvy Minecrafters, right? They're the ones who can really pull it apart and come up with like, how could this maze be better? How could this lesson be sort of more engaging? And the idea that's cool, I think, is to invite the kids to, yes, go through the lesson, but then also like expand on how the lesson was built. How do you improve it? How do you tell a story in this space? I think if you allow the students to, show the fluency they have in the space, that's when you start to tap into the real creative potential of it.
I have a question for you, Joe. Has the lessons been play tested? I'm assuming so, but with children, and what are some like examples or feedback or types of poems that they produced?
Yeah. So what was interesting is we play tested it quite a bit this summer with the Denver Writing Project. And we always did it in such a way that, I encouraged the students because I wanted them to help me find the bugs. And I also wanted them to like, of course, have fun and help us like iterate. So things were like more playable. So I told them to,
So
do their best.
Christina is going to distract us while you're talking. But
That's fine. Yeah. So I told them to try to fly through the lesson or to try to go through the lesson quickly. And if they were prompted to write a paragraph, they should write a sentence or so and move on so they could see the whole thing, right? And so what was fascinating to me was, they all had their favorites, and many of the youth in the space of like an hour would play test a couple different lessons. But, and certainly they'd all have, they'd all be able to weigh in on like, was this a good English language arts lesson? They were able to critique like the instructional design. They usually had ideas about how the world could become better. And then they all had their own favorites. And I think that the thing that was cool about it was, they were all critics of like how Minecraft should be used for writing lessons. And even after they'd seen kind of our best efforts as teachers. So the notion that we tried to engage them as play testers as opposed to just lesson testers, right? And also we asked them to like review the games and also suggest iterations. And I think that, so often in the classroom, like when students get to have a little bit of a say in the instructional design or a say in how they learn best, that is how you unearth like a lot of the potential in a classroom. And so it's cool that Minecraft does that well. What Christine is walking us through right now is the This I Believe world. And what's kind of cool about this is that This I Believe is a familiar form of essay from NPR. And so teachers, across the US often give the assignment for students to write This I Believe essays. But what you're seeing here is like, we put mentor texts inside of Minecraft, right? So we use these non-player characters to give access to the essays that are published on npr.org, right? And so as they navigate through this world, they kind of go from mentor text to mentor text. But the first one here is actually this little village is built because it's been referenced in the first essay. But then when they encounter the other essays, there's really nothing that's been built. And so they're invited to maybe build something that they encounter in the essay, or build something that represents their beliefs. So in that way, the actual construction of the world is unfinished. And so that's just, you know, there's a few different approaches we took to the design, but in this case, this one's very heavy into the notion of being informed by a mentor text and inviting youth to, like, number one, make notes about how they could write their own essay, but then also think about what they could build.
So I have a question for teachers here, which is like, what would it take for you to get comfortable to bring this to your classroom? Like, what kind of learning experience do you think you would need?
You know, this is like, can I, you know, piggyback on that question too? Because like I want to do this, I want to bring it in, but now how do you? I noticed there's a fee, right? You only have 25 free trials right now, and then after that, your district has to pick up a tab, right?
Unless you live in Michigan, I think, but or unless your school has what is it, Microsoft 365? Is that right?
No, but I was just looking online. It says you only get 25 with that. Like I signed mine up and then I saw 25 trials and I'm like, oh my God, do I have 25 trials for the entire district? But that's just for me and my students, each with their profile. So you could do 25 times per user, it sounds like. But then after that, I mean, like, has anyone gone down that road? You know, just so you, like, to answer your question, Paul, too, I'm thinking about right now in the COVID situation where students don't want to connect with each other because they don't know each other right now. And like connecting like this for the first time with 15-year-olds, fellow 15-year-olds is awkward. And I was just imagining, like, what if we went and met in Minecraft? And that's how we built community. And that's what I would do first. So I'm trying to figure out, like, you know, when I play at home with my daughter, I'm on the Wi-Fi. But when I'm in school on the Chromebook, right, I just give them, and I'm asking this to folks, I give them a code to join our world, and then we all meet there. Is that how it works?
Yep. You should display it's like a 4-image-based code, and they come in. I think it's a great idea also to have kind of building community in this digital. I mean, that's what so many colleges around the states did for their kind of graduation ceremonies. Is just recreate the college campus.
I'm also thinking like group work. You know, what I would love to do is have groups, you know, like as these kids, I'm putting them in groups where like the hybrid group, the cohort A is with cohort B, the online, and I'm doing that right now. But I'm like, wouldn't it be cool for those groups to create their own world and start there by becoming a real group? And then like always, like everybody has their own little house or whatever. And, you know, this is my essay. Come and read my essay over here in this book. Like that's the things I'm thinking about doing right now.
Yeah, I think one of the things we found when we were play testing was, you know, first of all, it's fascinating because we kind of designed it so so the youth would play test their own world. And generally speaking, we just had them run through on their own individually and kind of like chat about it in, you know, in a Zoom room or chat about their experience in the chat. But as soon as we showed them how to invite each other into their room, into their various worlds, this is the setting world where you actually are in a setting that looks like the Bryce Canyon in Utah. And so you're prompted at 3 different stations about what kind of story could be told in this type of a setting. And so, but anyway, yeah, as we were play testing, as soon as youth see how to like invite one another into each other's worlds, they just start to naturally like pair up and partner up. And invariably during the play testing, as soon as they partnered up, they'd be less likely to kind of like get through the whole lesson, but they'd also have toured it, right? And they kind of knew what was going on, but they started to like, you know, make it their own. And so I think that for, you know, a teacher's intent, like a teacher's goal would matter. Do you want them pairing up, or do you want them to work through lessons individually before they share what they build? Those are certainly things you can negotiate with the students, but what's awesome is that they do naturally like start to socialize in here, and this ends up being a very social game where they build together, construct things for one another, you know, sometimes shoot each other with arrows.
Yeah.
Can I just,
Go ahead.
Joe, I thought it might be interesting to, like in that game, this sort of release of responsibility happens right at the end. They can create and construct all their own stuff. So the sort of, there's a little bit of like when you first start this game, you're not going to fall into the pits that are in Bryce Canyon. You're not going to fall off the trail, and you're not going to be able to shoot each other with arrows or anything like that. It's sort of, and then the responsibility gets released, and at the end, the kids can build their own thing. I thought that was really interesting, design choices you made in some of these games like that.
Right. Yeah. And in most of the games, that's the case, is that there's sort of a prescribed path that the youth have to go through, and they experience this lesson. And then as they get to the end, there's usually something they flip, or a switch they flip, or a character they encounter who will put them into creative mode, and then remind them that they're supposed to be writing something, but also invite them to build something.
Yeah.
And the idea that there's really those two forms of composition available to the students and the teacher is a way of like nodding to the fact that the students know this space best and will probably do with it what they're going to anyway, right? And if you're gonna put your students into this game, you should expect something playful to come out of it, and hopefully they'll be looking at the writing objectives and the writing lessons with new eyes because you've put it in this playful space.
And Mr. Hernandez-Spear, do you want to bring your young people back, your children back again? What's their final thoughts here?
What are your final thoughts? Well, Nico has said that he would really like to teach me how to do this.
Yeah, I really want to teach my mom how to do this, and also I want to see how you guys would play in the survival world.
Yeah, see how you guys would cope. That'd be funny.
It's hard. Yeah.
You want to see how we would cope. Okay.
Like a house. If we beat the Ender Dragon, then that'd be cool. Like, I want to do it with you guys.
I love it. I love Survival World with my daughter. Like, I just love the whole idea of like, there's something ecological too. It's like really getting us to understand that this idea, like in Survivor mode, where you have to actually fashion the tools from the earth, right? You have to dig from the mines to create the ore, to create and then fashion it together in this box that put it together. I mean, there is something real about that kind of like, you have to kill your own animals and then eat it, right? That there's really like a sense of the reality of the world that we in the modern world have lost, ironically, right?
And there's something really cool in Minecraft that they added. It was like whenever you kill a pig, like when like you kill animals to get food, there's a campfire, and like when you drop it on top of it, it like cuts
if you like, let's say you have meat in your hand, like a chicken, you can make like a campfire and like the two sticks in the triangle formation in the top two, and put logs on the bottom and one piece of coal. You can make a campfire and you can put meat on it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's totally interesting how players want to be teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying to wrap up.
It's okay. You can. What did you want to say?
No. It's all right. It's okay.
You sure? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't want to ruin your teacher's.
I wanted to just highlight this
yes,
figure
go ahead.
behind me. What is this, Joe?
Oh,
what do you think it is?
Yeah, what do you guys think that is? What does that look like?
It's a cow, it's a pig, and a sheep, but those things are not actual things. That one thing is not an actual thing. It's just a mix of those things.
Yeah, it kind of looks like one of the animals in Minecraft called the Wither, but like it's different heads.
So some of the young
like it's
people,
a cow, sheep, pig Wither.
Exactly, it's a cow, sheep, pig. That's exactly right. So some of the young people that helped us build this in the exquisite corpse world, they knew they had to build something. We had to build something surreal, and so they built like a 3-story cow, sheep, pig. It has 3 heads, 1 body, and you can actually go inside and you can run around inside the cow's head, run around inside the sheep's head, and run around inside the pig's head. And my daughter built that with my nephew. And all I told him was, I don't know, build something crazy. And so they came up with that, and there's writing prompts in each of those heads. Can you believe that?
If you guys have, do you guys have any children? Any of you?
A lot of us do. Yes.
Okay. If they have Minecraft Bedrock Edition, there's you can go into the store and then you can go into the education edition. I mean, I remember, and there's like stuff that explain. I've seen some that explains the human body. Some you have to go search out, look for fish. Some that explain the human eye.
Yeah, there's a big eyeball you can go into, right?
Yeah, I want to really play with your kids. Like, I want to.
Why aren't there any kids here? Yeah.
I want to play with all.
We'll make that happen next time. So.
My daughter would love that.
So, Rich, I didn't want to leave your question. At least somebody help a little bit more on it. Marina, I think your school has Microsoft 365, right? So you have access to this. Is that right? To Minecraft?
We did in the past. And we are a Microsoft school, so
yeah. So if you are a Microsoft school, I think you have access to Minecraft, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not, then we have to figure it out for you. But you and your tech people have to figure it out. I guess I don't know how to answer it otherwise. But I didn't want to leave that dropped at least.
I do know that they. When I spoke to somebody at Minecraft Education, that when everything, I think she called it triage mode in the spring, there was obviously a steep drop in the usage of Education Edition. But what they did was they moved a lot of content into the marketplace.
Yeah, I was going to say that. A lot of it's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So regular Minecraft, you can get there, Rich, is what he's saying.
Yes, I've noticed that. I have noticed that too, yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
And I'll send you an email. We probably have some accounts you could try.
And I'll attach to the video here. I want to show you that I want to try an experiment on Tuesday during the debate, right? During the debate, I want to put the debate, a live stream on Now Comment, and see if we can get together and have a conversation together during the live stream, right? You'll hear more about that. Want to announce also that Catherine Scholten is going to be joining us 2 weeks, October 7th. And before that, you want to kind of get her book, which is a collection of mentor texts written by youth. And she has a whole other book that talks about how to build argument with youth. So those two things are coming up, and I just wanted to make that quick announcement. So when you see that coming at you again, you'll know what's going on. Thank you all, and thank you, Joe, and thank you, team, for all of this. And we'll see you again soon. Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for that. Cheers.
Chorus.